Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is getting a lot of hype thanks to third person and a new DLC on the way. So what better time to do a new player guide? The tutorial is pretty solid, but there's some things that it doesn't quite elaborate on. So that's what this guide is to make sure that you get the most out of your experience. I'll be very careful not to spoil the story or any exciting things you might come across. I'll also be doing an advanced guide, so check back for that if it's not out yet. I want to get into the tips right away, but just in case you are completely unfamiliar with this game, I went ahead and tacked on an overview of things at the end. So if you're completely new to it, skip to that and watch that first. Otherwise, let's get right into the tips. The movement in this game is incredibly fluid. I personally find it to be a ton of fun just running around and climbing trees. But it's more than just fun. Having solid movement mechanics will keep you alive and help you traverse Pandora. You'll get to experience this early on in the beginning tutorial quests when you're forced to run around on foot with no Ikran, but there's a couple things that I want to emphasize. When you are in combat, moving around can be the difference between life and death. Some of those fights at RDA bases can get pretty crazy, but the bases are all designed with some verticality. Use that to your advantage. You'll get a double jump very early on. You can hold down jump to get a higher jump. You can vault from a pretty low height. All these things make moving around the RDA bases very smooth and easy with a little practice. And it might just save your life if you are getting overwhelmed. The early quests, before you get an Ikran, are a really good time to practice this movement. Practice landing in a slide for a little bit of a speed boost. Practice preloading your super jump while sliding or in another movement animation. Like vaulting, so that when you get at top of the vault, you can immediately jump into that super jump. Chaining those two together will have you moving around pretty quickly and will look something like this. Get used to the vault height. Practice your wall jumps. Wall jumps are a really good way to keep your momentum in the air and help you get up a little bit higher even. Just watch me basically rock climb this cliffside, for example, and this is mostly thanks to the vault and wall jump abilities. Once you get your Ikran, you'll probably be flying everywhere, but fluid movement around an RDA base is an essential skill for survival, so practice it. Then there is the dodge. You can do this maneuver by tapping jump while moving in a strafe. If you are sprinting, you'll get a bigger boost and go a little further, and you can chain these together for some really speedy lateral movements. When it comes to moving around Pandora, it's less of a life or death thing, but movement is still going to be very valuable. You won't always have your Ikran. There are parts that force you back on foot, so getting used to that fluid movement can help in those situations. And like I showed, you can literally just rock climb things. There are also these blue flowers, which can give you a speed boost. But most of Pandora is accessible on foot, so even when you can't use your Ikran, or before you have it, moving around on foot is an essential skill. And the last thing I'll mention about movement is the fast travel. You can unlock fast travels at any RDA facility that you clear, Na'vi camp that you visit, or resistance slabs that you power up. Traversal with an Ikran is fast, but fast travels are literally all over the map, so it makes getting around very quick. Just keep in mind that it does use energy, that's what the symbol is. But there is a perk that you can get that takes that away. And food is pretty plentiful, so just make sure you always have some on you and fast travel won't be an issue. This game, even on normal settings, can get pretty difficult. The leveling up works based on an overall power level score that is influenced by the gear you have and the amount of skills unlocked. If you go into a fight even 1 or 2 levels underpowered, you can feel it a lot of the time. And just following the main quest line might not always be enough, so it's good to know a few ways to power up quickly. You can focus on improving your character skills. If you run into a quest that you're finding too difficult, you can always take a break from it and hunt down some of the things that will improve your character. The Tarsu plants are what give you ancestor skills. You'll be introduced to one in the tutorial, but after that you can freely find them on the map. They all stick out of the fog too, so it's pretty easy to locate them and track them down to get more ancestor skills unlocked. The Tarsu saplings will give you skill points for the skill tree. These are a little harder to find because they don't stick out of the fog, but still really easy once you uncover them. Once the fog is revealed, they show up as this little dot, and then they become easy to find when you use your Na'vi senses nearby. Bell sprig plants are another plant that you can look out for. They show up as a similar dot on the map once the area is revealed, and interacting with that will increase your overall HP. It is by a pretty small amount, but these trees are all over, so you can farm up more HP this way. If you keep dying, it'll just take a little time. Also, after you clear RDA bases, usually more of them will grow, So be sure to check back at those locations after you've cleared the bases for even more. Another really good way to get a huge boost in strength is to use the cooked food. Some of these recipes are crazy strong, like you can get a damage boost of 40% or damage reduction of 35%. You'll get these regularly as gifts from the cooking vendors or as rewards for quests, but they aren't that difficult to craft either. Even basic ingredients can give you some pretty powerful foods. The best overall way, though, to improve your power level permanently is to improve your gear. Better weapons, better armor. And the best ways to do that, at least early on, are going to be clearing the RDA base without tripping the alarm and also just buying them. So when you attack an RDA base, there will be a guard that will trigger the alarm. If you can clear the base without letting any of the guards do that, you'll get a whole lot more loot in the loot room afterwards. The game actually puts you right in front of the loot room after the cinematic, something that took me a stupid long time to discover, so don't be like me and run around for 5 minutes. But usually you'll get something really powerful that can significantly increase your power level. Do this a couple times and you'll definitely come across something that gets you past whatever obstacle that you might be stuck at. Then when it comes to buying them, make sure to regularly check vendors. As you level up and progress, they will have new and more powerful things. The Resistance is going to have your RDA weapons and armor, and that is going to cost spare parts. And Na'vi clan will obviously have Na'vi weapons and armor, but they deal in clan favor. I'll mention some tips on how to get these things in the next section. Early on, it might feel a little pricey, so buying isn't necessarily the suggested strategy, but if you are stuck on a quest, sometimes just one pricey piece of armor or a weapon can totally be worth it. You can also craft weapons and armor, but again, early on, it might be a little harder to do that just because tracking down some of those resources might be a little bit more time consuming without an Ikran. I personally think your time would be better spent in the early game at least, farming up some of that clan favor or spare parts and just purchasing something to get you over that obstacle that you're stuck at. But it's just a suggestion. Take whatever path suits you best. If you really like the hunting and gathering aspect, then take the time to do that. But if you are just looking for a way to get past the next challenge, it'll probably be a little faster to find a weapon or to buy one. Your Na'vi senses are a cheat code. You'll be introduced to them early on in the tutorial, but it doesn't give you the full extent of its value. Obviously, you'll want to use it to track your next quest locations as shown by this light blue glow. Every time you exit out of your senses, the guidance will slowly fade away, and you can change this in the settings so it stays on all the time. Additionally, you can open the map and set your own tracker right on the location and follow the green marker on your radar. It's just an easier way to manage than having to constantly open your Na'vi senses because it does slow you down if you're running. Your Na'vi senses will show you the weak spots on enemies, both for RDA and for hunting, but it also gives very valuable information. It shows the loot quality of the animals or plants that you're searching for, so when looking for those top tier exquisite items, you can see beforehand what quality they are. And then the additional information it provides can be very helpful in combat. Some of the amp suits specifically have unique properties, like being able to track you, so if sometimes it seems like these enemies can see through walls, it's because some of them can. Pay attention to the details, and it might just help you strategize to take down some of the tougher enemies. The Na'vi senses are also going to help you see through walls for yourself. When looking for ammo or other useful items, or just trying to find the vent that you need to close to finish off the RDA base, you'll get an outline of them, and it can make finding valuable things in the heat of the moment really helpful. That includes important things in the environment like the tarsu plants and bellspig trees, but also things like loot baskets. And while you're at RDA bases, it's going to help you find ammo, and even things like the rocket launcher. When flying around, you will see a light glow sometimes. Follow that direction until it turns into a full circle. That's how you know when you are traveling in the right direction to something valuable nearby. Sometimes you'll need to search for things by its biome. The map has a toggleable option. It's up on the D-pad on controller. That will show you the different biomes. This will be especially important when you're looking for those top tier resources. It tells you where you can usually find the standard quality and a better quality. So make sure to use your hunter's guide and the map biomes together to find specific things a lot easier. Sometimes it will require you to get these things during certain weather conditions like rain to be optimal. You can pass time at a campfire to get either day or night, or change the weather randomly as well until you get what you need. Just be sure to have an idea of where that item is before you spend 5 minutes trying to get the perfect conditions. Then to make it as easy as possible to find it, you can pin resources. What that will do is give it a yellow highlight when using Na'vi senses. The range is increased and it stands out more, so it's really helpful if you pin things when you're looking for them. And just in case you can't get a resource in perfect condition, whether that's a plant during a rainstorm or an animal hide because you didn't get a clean kill, you'll still get the quality that was predetermined. Getting the perfect pull or kill will only increase the actual value, but it won't change the tier. If it's exquisite, it will always be exquisite no matter what the conditions are. There are a few different types of currency you'll come across, the main one being spare parts and clan favor. Spare parts will be your main source of currency for the resistance members. You'll be able to get some RDA weapons and armor that are insanely powerful, but they can also cost quite a few spare parts, which are a little scarce early on unless you're looking for them in the right spots. You'll get these regularly from completing quests and taking down RDA bases, but the fastest way by far to get a bunch early on is to farm up these resistance field labs. They are located all over. It's a very simple, quick process of turning on the power using your multi-tool, and you'll find a yellow chest there afterwards. These spare parts are also used in crafting specialty ammos, so it's really helpful to get as many as you can. Sotlek will also ask for the RDA duty rosters as currency. These are a lot harder to get. I think the only way to get them is to clear an RDA base, and then they'll be there in the loot room afterwards. But it is a grind because you'll have to take down the whole base basically just for one. So I don't recommend getting these early on to farm these, and overall you'll just have more options if you're purchasing things with spare parts. Or from the Na'vi clans, the clans use clan favor as their form of currency. This is shared amongst all clans. Gain favor for one clan and you'll get it for all. You gain favor by doing quests and completing objectives like clearing out RDA bases or any RDA enemies. But the best way to get that meter to go up faster is to contribute to the clan. At each clan's home, that includes the smaller settlements that you'll find around Pandora, there will be a contribution basket. Here you can contribute specific requested items that they're asking for to get a little bit of a bump in clan favor, or you can just contribute any random items. Because you can pretty much donate anything, and where you'll normally just dump stuff off or throw it away, you can actually get some value out of it. So make sure to contribute everything that you plan on throwing away to bump up that clan favor. If space is becoming an issue, you can always store stuff in your stash basket, which you can also find at the clan's settlements, usually located pretty close to the contribution basket. Clan favor is capped also, so once your spiral meter fills all the way up, any extra you receive will be wasted, so be sure to use it when you have it. There are specific skills and clothing items that can increase the overall amount of clan favor you get. You'll get a couple of gifts and free items early on from vendors in the tutorial, but that doesn't stop at the tutorial. Be sure to check vendors regularly, as they will sometimes have free stuff for you. Hunting and gathering is a big part of the game, and it will help you further increase how powerful you can become. You'll be introduced to hunting in a very early tutorial quest, but it's brief, so let me emphasize a few things. To get a clean and merciful kill, you need to take it down in one shot by hitting its weak spot. If you hit its weak spot and take it down in a couple of arrows, you'll still get the merciful benefit, but not the clean kill. And if it takes a certain amount of time to go down, you'll lose the merciful benefit as well. But remember, the tier always will stay the same. The clean and merciful benefits will only affect the actual values, but the tier will stay the same. If you shoot it with RDA weapons, it will be ruined and you won't be able to harvest it at all. Also, you cannot harvest plants or animals in polluted zones. You'll need to clear the RDA facilities first. That includes animals roaming in healthy zones. If they fall down in a polluted zone, the resource will then become polluted too. Getting those clean and merciful kills can be pretty tough on some of the bigger animals, and you'll likely need a much better bow to do so. Remember where I talk about powering up though? Food can really help boost this. There's specific food with stealth bonuses or weapon mods even that specifically deal more damage to wildlife. So keep an eye out for those if you are trying to take down some bigger animals in one shot. But if you can't get that clean and merciful kill, also remember that it only affects the specific value and not the tier. So you'll always get that tier that your Na'vi senses show you beforehand, but to get the absolute best, you'll want the clean, merciful kill or the weather conditions to be right. Then also, animals have ages. Typically, the older ones will have the higher quality resources. So if you're looking for the best of the best, you'll want perfect conditions, a perfect kill, and an elder with the exquisite tier resources. Plants will have the same opportunities to get different quality resources, just like animals. Use your Na'vi senses on these to predetermine that tier. Better quality can be found in specific locations shown in the Hunter's Guide, as I mentioned in the section where I talk about finding things. There will be 2 conditions to get better stats: pristine and optimal gathering. The pristine bonus comes from getting a perfect pull without messing it up. This takes a little bit of practice, but early on the tutorial will show you how it's done and it will give you a chance to practice. The visual indicator does eventually go away, but you can always turn it back on in the settings. But each plant is always the same, so once you learn that plant, it'll always be the same direction for the plant. The optimal conditions bonus is gathering that plant during the weather conditions that it's asking for, which is where you can use the campfire to speed up time and get either night or day or rainfall when needed. Also, the stable hand skill can make this process easier for you. And if you really want it to be simplified, there is a setting that can make it super easy. If that's your vibe, just keep in mind you won't get those stat bonuses if you're using this. But truly, none of that is needed. If you accidentally mess up the direction at first, you can just back out and retry. It will actually show you too if you ruined it with this little indicator. This will reset it and you can get that perfect pull if you messed up the first time. And just like with animals, plants cannot be harvested in polluted zones. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora released on December 2023. It did pretty well, despite a lack of marketing and not a lot of people even knowing it existed. It did well enough to get 2 story DLCs, Skybreaker, which released July 2024, and Secrets of the Spire, which released September 2025. The 3rd DLC is launching on December 19th. Unlike the previous DLCs, this is directly tied to the Fire and Ash movie release. All of these stories are canon, so they all exist in the Avatar universe, but this one specifically coincides with the movie, where you'll get to fight Na'vi for the first time in the Ash Clan. The Season Pass includes the first 2 DLCs, but not this 3rd one. This one will be separate. Third Person Mode and New Game Plus releases on December 5th, and that is a free update. And if my comment sections are any indication, there seems to be a whole lot of people interested in third person, which completely makes sense. The game is filled with ways to customize your character customization at the beginning, face body paintings that represent what you've accomplished, song chord beads that show your progress, and of course cool armor and weapons, which do have transmog. So literally these visuals are telling a story. It's a wonder that third person was never in the game, but now it's here. This is a story-rich game. That's really where the heart is, so if you're an Avatar fan, it's hard not to recommend this, especially because it's all canon. You play as Sarentu, a thought-to-be-lost clan where you escape from the RDA and you reconnect with your Na'vi roots. Second to the story aspect is the action, specifically combat. It's a very combat-focused game. You'll get access to both RDA and Na'vi weapons and armor, and you'll spend a large portion of your time fighting the RDA. Third to that, I'd call it an adventure game. It's large and an open world with plenty of exploring and an Ikran to fly around on. Like most open world games, there's plenty of adventuring to be had, which I personally classify as finding random quests or things in the world to do or explore. Or even the hunting and gathering aspect I'd also classify as adventure. So I'd call it a story-driven action-adventure game, set place on the western frontier of Pandora.